We are going live today talking about what I think is a really amazing tool for helping you prioritize and make decisions. And we're actually going to talk about two tools because I think myself included, I had a little bit of a misnomer between what an Eisenhower matrix is versus an impact effort matrix. And so we're going to talk about both of them because they're both amazing tools. And we're going to talk about the difference between them, where they came from. So let's just say you are overwhelmed by the sheer volume of tasks that you need to do, and you're just a single person, you're alone, and you have to prioritize what tasks you want to get done. In those cases, you use what's called an Eisenhower matrix. Now, let's say you have a limited number of resources and you are working to deliver a service or a project. In that case, you might want to look at an impact effort matrix, right? So this is looking at the value for the output based on the resources that you have. And resources could be things like time, but it can also be money. So both of these tools are really useful. I'm going to go through some specific use cases. So the Eisenhower matrix was the term Eisenhower matrix was coined for Eisenhower is sort of an homage to Dwight Eisenhower, who was a general and an American president. He designed D-Day in World War II. But the term Eisenhower matrix, the 2x2 grid that people are familiar with, was popularized by Stephen Covey, who wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which was kind of like one of the biggest self-help books of the late 80s. Became super popular. So he is sort of the father of the Eisenhower matrix as a tool to decide impact and urgency, or importance and urgency. So Dwight Eisenhower said, I have important tasks and urgent tasks, but I rarely have both. And so really, this is how you can classify your tasks and prioritize your time spent on impact effort matrices. These were really designed and implemented in post-World War II Japan by companies like Toyota and other really resource-constrained organizations. And the sort of intention of this is that you don't want to waste time or money on bad ideas, right? You want to make sure that you're delivering value to your customers as effectively as possible. So we're going to go through some examples live here today. I'm going to start with an Eisenhower matrix. So here we have our quadrants, right? We have important on this axis. Important is high, not important is low. Then we have urgency across our x-axis, and we have urgent tasks and not urgent tasks. Things that are both important and urgent, these are your do first. Things that are not important and not urgent, these you just delete. And then really we have these two other tasks. So things that are important but not urgent, those get scheduled. Things that are urgent but not important, those can be delegated. And this is how we want to think about breaking down any project that we only have a limited number of time, or we need to schedule the time in which to do tasks. So I'm going to use an example from my life. Right now, we just bought a new house and we have a lot of projects to do around the house. So one, what I wrote in my big project list, I have a huge DIY board and contractor board, but we're going to talk about a specific project. So our front steps, the concrete steps is crumbling a little bit, and we really need to get our front entry back up to code so that it looks nice as well. We like the aesthetic. And so we had a do first task, and that was fix our roof. Right? We knew that the roof had some issues. We were getting a lot of water coming down at the front. It was slowly eroding where the concrete was. It wasn't flashed properly. So this was our do first, and it had to get done. We only have a limited number of time. That has to be done first. Now, our concrete steps, they do need to be fixed. It's not as urgent, but it's very important. So this not urgent, but important needs to be scheduled. And we're just going to look into the future when the weather's a little bit nicer, work on getting that done. Now, let's just say we have run out of a critical material in the project. I don't have enough masonry screws to actually properly put my handrail in. So I need to get more screws. This doesn't require my knowledge to get more screws. I can very easily order it and have them shipped to my house. I can send someone else to the store to get them. So things like that you are not necessarily solely responsible for, those can go into a delegate. And then we have our delete. This is like if I spent an hour scrolling on Pinterest looking for the perfect number placard, or on Etsy shopping for a beautiful hand carved wooden number placard for my street. Um, the time spent, that is a waste, right? That I don't need to do that. So that I'm going to put into my delete. So that's a good personal example. Let's say I have a professional example. So this could be something like I'm starting a new business. My business has services that I want to offer people. Personal example, right? So I own my own professional organizing, home organizing business. And so I have a number of tasks that I need to get done in a certain period of time in order to be able to go live with my business. So the most important thing before I do anything else, is both urgent and important, is to file my business registration, right? I need to have my business needs to be in place. I need to be able to collect an invoice. I need to invoice people, collect income, be able to file taxes on that income. So all of my business registration, that is important and urgent. Nothing else can really happen before. Now, things that are important that I need to do in the future is kind of to map out what my service offering is going to look like. So I need to decide what kind of services I'm going to offer. I need to make sure that I have a nice website that shows them. Now, my delegate, let's say that I have a customer, a lead, and they email me and I email them back and I say, okay, this is my availability to talk. What's your availability? And they send me something. So that back and forth doesn't need to happen. I can automate that with a CRM booking tool. So if my customer relationship management tool has a booking feature, I can just send them a link and they can book their own time and it shows my calendar. So it shows my availability. So that's sort of playing email tag. That is a task I want to delegate. And now the things I want to delete are going to be things like tweaking and adjusting the borders on a flyer that I'm going to have printed out, because that is not going to impact anything. It's not urgent. It's not important. I'm doing it to fill time. And if I don't have enough time, that's the kind of stuff that I need to just cut out of my life. So when I think about all of the tasks that need to get done, I can put them on something like an Eisenhower matrix, and it's very quick to show me where I need to spend my time and effort. All right. So now we have the second type matrix, which is going to be our impact and effort or prioritization matrix. And so my quadrants here are a little bit different, and they're also, the top two are flipped. So what I have here, and I guess actually the whole thing is kind of flipped. Impact and effort. So effort is the amount of work or resources that I have to assign to a project. Impact is the amount of value that effort is going to or that work is going to deliver. So as I'm thinking about things that are impactful or not impactful, high effort or low effort, I have here things like quick wins. So this is stuff that has a huge impact on the value that I'm delivering with the least amount of effort. Here, I have things that are high effort and high impact. So these are going to be my major projects. So quick wins, major projects. Then down here, I'm going to have my fill-ins. These are things that are not very impactful, but also don't take a lot of effort, right? I can do them to fill in the time as I'm working on a project. Let's say I really want to feel productive today, but I didn't get a great night's sleep. My kid was up all night coughing. So those fill-in tasks, those are things that you can do when the time is right. And then you have thankless tasks. These are the things that you actually just kind of want to avoid doing or don't do at all. So this is high effort, low impact. So let's say I'm going to go through an example of people on Substack writing a newsletter. And you are, you're trying to decide, this is what my newsletter is going to be about. I want to make sure it's core to my values. I want to make sure that it's impactful for the customers. So things that are going to really make an impact with very little effort would be something like updating your welcome email. Your welcome email that gets sent out to people automatically when they subscribe, it can contain things like links to a download that you want to give them. It can contain a really fun bit of information about you. We, just heard on another go live about how it should maybe contain your terms and conditions so that people know about them. So updating your welcome email is something you can do pretty quickly and has a high impact on your customers. Then you have things that are going to be high impact and high effort. This would be something like designing a multi-week course, which I just did. So I have my multi-week course live now, but I've been working on it for a long time. And it is high effort and high impact, right? So I've been recording videos, processing those videos, editing, getting all of my content ready, and getting my website ready to host it as well. So this was a major project. Then I have things like my fill-ins. This would be, I picked a font, but that font isn't available on the website builder that I'm using. So, how do I find a font that's similar enough? So tweaking my font or my colors a little bit, like I know I want sans serif, but the difference between Arial and Calibri, if one of my websites doesn't have the font I use, like that's a lot of fill-in tasks, right? I don't have to be working on this activity, but if I want to feel productive, I can do that. Now, something that is a thankless task would be, let's say I'm moving from LinkedIn, I have LinkedIn followers and I'm moving them into my Substack. If I have to go through one by one and copy email addresses, that's a thankless task, right? If I'm not going to spend the time to find a way to export it and then import it to my next tool and I do it one by one, that's just really something that I would like to avoid doing. It's very low impact and very high effort. So that's a good work example. Let's talk through a personal example. So my 5-year-old's birthday is coming up and I want to plan a party for her. It's the first time we've been close to family, close to friends. And so having a small backyard party would be really fun. And small, by my standards, is probably micro compared to anyone else. But if I'm inviting people over, it's a party. So let's say quick win for my daughter. She is obsessed with unicorns right now. So if I buy a huge unicorn balloon for her, huge quick win, right? It's high impact, very low effort on my part, except maybe if I can't find one. Major project would be something like hiring an entertainer. If I wanted someone to come make balloon animals for the kids, I have to research, I have to find someone, I might have to do some phone calls and scheduling. That's a major project. My fill-ins are going to be things like if I want to go to the store and get themed napkins and plates instead of something that I just have lying around or something I could borrow from a friend, that's a fill-in task. It's really not a lot of impact, not a lot of effort. It's just something that I'm doing to keep myself busy. And then my thankless task in this is if I was going to handcraft stamped unicorn goodie bags for everybody who comes to the party, that's a thankless task, right? It's a huge amount of effort on my part, and it is very low impact on the actual value of the party. So this is how you can think about impact and effort matrices. So remember, Eisenhower matrix is for if you have a limited amount of time and you need to get a number of tasks done. So it's really just if you're overwhelmed by the sheer volume of tasks, it's how you prioritize those tasks with the time you have. And then impact and effort is if you have a huge volume of ideas or projects or services and limited resources with which to deliver those, money or time, it's how you understand the value for the effort that you're doing of the resource. Okay, so I'm going to switch my camera around because I can't see you guys. Okay. Oh, Aaron, thank you. I am so cool. I do appreciate that. So that is kind of it for the content of the Go Live. And I'm just curious if anyone who's joined in the chat, hi, Margaret, if anyone has any questions about impact effort matrices, when to use them, Eisenhower matrices, when to use them, let me know. This was intended to be a pretty quick call, right? And I just wanted to go through what these two tools are and how you can use them, how they are beneficial. So if anybody has any questions, you can just type them in the chat. I'm looking at the screen now, finally. So otherwise, we can wrap this up. Okay, I don't see any questions. You can always send me a direct message. I'm gonna, download the transcript from this call. I'll process it, pull out important topics, turn it into a post, send it out, and thank you all for joining me today. Bye.